Hey guys, so I'm starting a series where I look into different types of food from around the world because I love traveling, and with COVID right now, I'm not able to explore and learn about other cultures in person. I'm gonna make a breakfast, a lunch, a dinner, an appetizer or side, and a dessert for each place I choose, and split that up into two different parts. With me being vegan, the food that I make may not be completely accurate to the traditional recipes, but we're going to try to recreate them as close as possible and try to transport ourselves to another part of the world through vegan cooking. A couple of weeks ago, I used a random city generator and got Sao Paulo, Brazil. That's great, since I didn't really know very much about Brazil and definitely not a lot about Brazilian cuisine. To start with, I knew that Brazil is a huge country, so I looked into what region I should be researching. Brazil is made up of 5 different regions for cuisine: North, Northeast, Central West, Southeast, and South. Sao Paulo lands in the southeast and is the capital of the state of Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo has a huge population, over 22 million people in the urban area, but it wasn't always such a populated city. Rio de Janeiro was actually larger until their soil stopped producing good coffee beans, and Sao Paulo took over the industry in the late 1800s. People from Europe, especially Italy, and within Brazil started to move to Sao Paulo, and it is now the largest city in the southern hemisphere with a pretty diverse population. One problem that the city does face is the divide between the classes. 45% of the property in Sao Paulo is owned by the top 1% of landowners. The suburbs surrounding the city and favelas are actually becoming more population dense recently as well, blurring the borders between Sao Paulo and a few of the neighboring cities, including Santos, a port city just south of Sao Paulo. This is a problem though, because favelas are areas that were built up with no zoning codes by either freed slaves or people from the lower class, so there are locations with no running water or electricity even to this day. With such a large population and gap between the classes, there's of course going to be a lot of variance in how people choose to eat. In general, daily meals are a light breakfast in the morning of some tropical fruit and tea or coffee, a large lunch around 1 p.m., and dinner at 8. Okay, so to start off this video, I'm going to cut up a papaya. This is actually the first time I've ever purchased a papaya, but these seeds are really sick. They have a gelatinous type coating on the outside that I read when you wash that off and you clean up the seeds and let them dry, you can actually use the seeds as a substitute for ground black pepper, which is kind of cool. I was gonna try doing that, but it ended up being too much work and yeah, not really worth it. But here I am struggling with cutting a papaya. This I really take my time with. It's kind of funny. But I just really didn't want to cut my hand off, and this probably isn't the safest technique for cutting, but I got the hang of it eventually. I didn't film it when I got it eventually, but you'll just have to believe me. Oop, and there it is. Here is the papaya and bananas and the pan de queijo, which is what we're making right now. And right now I'm just boiling milk, water, and oil. Here's the tapioca flour that I used. It's actually funny because there's a recipe right on the back for what we're making right now. Added some salt, garlic powder, onion powder, and turmeric for a bit of color, and then some black pepper as well. And then we add some nutritional yeast and give that a little whisk. Make sure everything's evenly incorporated here. And now I'm just creating a well that we're going to put the liquids that we boiled earlier, and then that just comes together really easily. Just mix that up. Alright, and then we took the dough that we had and rolled it up into little balls and then just placed it on a sheet tray. And for these last 3, I actually added in a little bit more of the tapioca flour, and I would suggest doing that if your dough is a little bit sticky. They definitely turned out better. The ones behind there are the ones with a little bit more flour. Bom dia. So this is what a typical Brazilian breakfast looks like, as far as I could put together from the information online. So we have some papaya, banana, and then the pão de queijo. And yeah, I'm really happy that these turned out. I actually really love them. And then I also have a bit of black tea to go with it. But I did have one of these last night when I made them. So they're kind of airy like that. They're so good. Wow. But what I was most excited to actually try is papaya, because I haven't actually had papaya before. It's very a mellow taste. It's like, it doesn't hit you like I thought it was going to, like punch, but it's nice and sweet. Okay, the second bite was everything. Changed my mind completely. It's stunning, gorgeous. The fruit of the month. Yeah, I wish that we could grow papaya here so it would be fresh, but obviously it's fruit, so it's gonna be delicious. But yeah, it just hits so good. And then the tea, I have a bit of tea in my like pet mug. I don't even know if you can tell that there's pets on here, but yeah. No, it's too hot. I'm not gonna be drinking that right now. Alright, so this one is one of the Queijo that I didn't add the extra tapioca flour like I did for the other one, so it's kind of dense towards the bottom, and then there's just like a layer on top, but it still tastes good. But the texture on the other one is way better. So definitely if it's too sticky or too wet, add more tapioca starch, or tapioca flour, I mean, and it'll make the texture a lot better. Alright, well that's really all I have to say about that. I just honestly wanted to try the papaya and the Queijo, which is amazing. So yeah, we'll move on to the next thing now. Okay, so now what we're doing is the Arroz con Feijao, which is the rice and beans. This is something that I read a lot about because really the rice and beans are a staple in Brazil, and especially with the lower class people, which there is a huge divide between the upper class and lower class like I was talking about before. But this is something that's really cheap and really easy to make. So we're just frying off some onions, and then we also put in the rice to fry a little bit as well. Then add the salt and water. Put a cap on, not all the way, let that steam for a little bit. Then we move on to the beans. So I fried up a little bit of pre-minced garlic because I just wasn't feeling like mincing the garlic today. And then we'll add in the beans. You're just going to want to crush the beans up on the side of the pot. And red beans are something that I read particularly were for Sao Paulo. We just put in some water and some liquid smoke because in the recipe that I was looking at, they were using smoked bacon. So just to add that smoky flavor, we added in a little bit of that liquid smoke, and they came out amazing. Okay, well, I'm in my bed right now because I didn't feel like getting out the whole tripod and all that. But, yeah, here we are. This is the beans, yeah, and the green onion because they told me to, and I always followed the rules. Okay. I knew the smokiness would be so good, but it hits on a different level. Also, I had this rice because the rice got done before the beans, and, well, I mean, I had the beans too, just for flavor check, but I was like kind of snacking on the rice a little bit, but the rice is phenomenal. Like, it slaps. It hits really different. Onion, of course. No, it's just a solid meal. Honestly. Oh my goodness. The rice is good. The rice is bomb, I'm telling you. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Together. The rice and the beans. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Brazil. You did that. You came through with that. That was incredible. It is incredible. I'm gonna put more green onion on this though, because that's incredible. The word incredible is incredible. I'm telling you. Something in my brain today is not working. Yeah, anyway. Things that I like about this. The smoke. You need to get the liquid smoke. That's all there is to it. And then, yeah, like just follow the instructions. It's so easy. This is like the easiest thing that you could possibly make. Mm-hmm. Hello, mama. Oh, wow. Anyway, the links are below. So this meal is called Feijoada, and it's a black bean stew, which typically uses a lot of different types of meat, usually the stuff that is like the scraps at the butcher, but we're gonna use a bunch of different roasted vegetables instead. So first we're gonna start off with cutting up a green bell pepper, like you see here, and then a bunch of different vegetables like this squash that I cut terribly. I don't even know how you can be that off-centered, but it's fine. I read a lot that in Brazil they use squash, and since it was in season, I picked one up, and it actually was really delicious in this stew. Cut up a little bit of yam, then some red onion. Now we're going to take all of those vegetables, cover them in a little bit of oil, and then put them in the oven. Now we're going to cut up some onion and some garlic. This time I used real garlic because I just wanted to get the taste, and also I like when you bite into a little bit of garlic in your stew. Then we just fried the onions and also the garlic in a little bit of oil. Then we're going to add in our spices, so some thyme, some smoked paprika, and then a little bit of coriander as well. We're going to let those infuse with the oil a little bit and the garlic and onions, just so it'll give the stew a really beautiful flavor. So then we add in the tomato paste, and then our beans. Give that a little bit of a stir, and then we'll add in the water. So once that comes up to a boil, we're gonna let that simmer until the vegetables are done roasting. And then along with the feijoada, we're gonna fry up some collard greens. So I'm just removing the stem. And then we're going to take all the leaves, roll them up, and then thinly slice them so we can fry them up really good. This is the smoked sausage that I made. So instead of having all those meats in there, we have the roasted veggies, and then also I made a chorizo. So to flavor the chorizo, I just had onion, garlic, paprika, cayenne, and a little bit of some parsley. Then we're gonna fry off our sausage just so that it holds its shape a little bit better, and I like a lot of oil, as you can tell. And then the same thing that we did with the other beans, we're gonna mash them at the side of the pot. I'm not doing really a great job here, but that's okay. Then we just add in our sausages, and we're also going to add in the roasted vegetables as well, so that all of that can combine and become really delicious. Now that we're done with the stew part, it can just simmer while we finish with the collard greens. So I fried up a little bit of garlic. I actually burnt a little bit of garlic, but it still tasted good. And then we're going to put in the collard greens just to fry them for a little bit, not too long, maybe 1 or 2 minutes here. And top it off with a bit of portofino, which is some toasted cassava root flour. And we've got the feijoada. Alright, hello internet. This is the feijoada that we made. So the black bean stew and then the collard greens. I have already eaten this. This is a different day, but I'll just say what I think anyway, and not be fake about it. Alright. When I saw the recipe, and like I looked at the spices and everything, I wasn't sure what it was gonna actually come out tasting like, because I never had really tried those spices together, but they're a really beautiful blend between like the paprika and the coriander. Those two different flavors, like a little bit spicy with the paprika, or like a warmer spice, and then coriander, which was a little bit cooler, is just a cool compliment. The collard greens with this as well is so good. The sweet potato is really cool in this. I don't know if that's not really typically in the feijoada, but it tastes really, really good, and it makes it like black bean stew type feelings. I just feel like that's a good vibe. Plus it's the fall, so that it just makes a lot of sense. I included a squash as well, just because that's something I've seen a lot when I was researching, that like squash is used in Brazilian food, so I thought I'd put it in there, and it's really good. It tastes really good. Also, the sausage I made turned out way better than I expected, and it holds its shape really well. There's really good flavor in that chorizo, and I made it a little bit spicy, so that spiciness comes in with the bites that have the chorizo, and it's really, really nice. It's subtle, but gives your palate something to think about while going around to these different flavors, so it works out really nice. But something else that Brazilians like to eat with the feijoada is oranges, because in like the original feijoada dish, there's a lot of meats, like red meats, and then like other meats that are not usually used in other dishes. And oranges are supposed to help with digestion of things like that. So yeah, we don't necessarily have to do that because vegan, but oranges are really good. So yeah, that's so good. But yeah, that's what I think about feijoada, and it was really fun to make and pretty easy actually. Even making the seitan, it wasn't really that difficult. Just had to steam it for a little bit, but other than that, it was pretty easy. Yeah, thank you for watching this video. If you like the content, give it a thumbs up. And if you are Brazilian, let me know what your favorite dish is from Brazil, or if you have any tips on like making feijoada, or if you make vegan feijoada already, how would you make it different? But yeah, if you have any other dishes from Brazil that you think are really interesting, definitely put them in the comments below. I want to try out more recipes from Brazil. But yeah, subscribe for more videos. But until next time, peace out.